all of you beautiful souls. Today's video is on two quotes that recently really radically changed my life. And they really, asked me to dive even deeper. And I don't like quoting, just directly quoting quotes, right? I like to create a lot of my own original quotes. And for those who followed the Facebook page when we had about 50,000 followers from around the world, I created a lot of original content. Now, I'm going to introduce these quotes directly, and then I'm going to translate a lot of it into my own words, practical advice to where it can really help radically change your life, whatever goal it is that you're working on. And the first one is that hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. So it can become this cycle, this very deadly cycle of life. And I really love to study the science of life like Albert Einstein and Nikola Tesla really did, because it's everything. When I say life, you could say universe or whatever, analogy you prefer. But this quote is like the poison of life, right? It really can be poison, or it can become wisdom that can empower your relationships, your health, your career. And it starts off with hard times can create strong men, but it turns into this deadly cycle where it ends with weak men create hard times. So what it really is saying that if that difficult times really make you stronger, difficult times really make us stronger. And it's this backwards paradigm or philosophy and a lot of modern within a lot of modern society where it's really backwards, that pain is a bad thing, that when you feel pain you need to automatically go right straight to the Advil or the Tylenol, or when you have a little cough you need to go straight to the antibiotics. And it really has created this very weak, right? Very weak generations where we don't understand the correlation between pain and life. Pain is a beautiful thing. Pain is a good thing. Pain is what allows new growth to occur, right? When a tree loses a branch in nature, when a tree loses a branch, it allows for a longer branch to grow, right? It's like when a lizard cuts off a tail, two more tails grow. This is the structure and the systems that operate and have kept all of life evolving forward despite all of what's happened throughout, history, which history is not a random, set of events. History is a gradual progression towards perfection, and it's so close that we can almost taste it. And it's so close we can almost taste it because of all the pain and all of the growth that had to occur through these difficult times. And every second that you spend focusing on the problem is a second you could have been spending focusing on the solution. And I truly believe we're going to live forever. All of us are going to be living forever. And that's through subliminals and modern, advances. But don't waste your time, guys. Spend every second focusing on the solution. And when your focus can only go one direction, one way at a time. And when you begin to, master that focus and focus on the solution, it allows for that growth to start occurring. It allows for the difficult times to make you stronger. And so many fall into this trap where you get into good times that it's like, let's just go drink, right? Let's just drink tonight. Let's just smoke tonight. Let's just skip the gym tomorrow, or let's just stay up late tonight, right? The discipline starts to, get weaker and weaker. And before you know it, you're out of shape mentally, you're out of shape physically, and you're just overall mentally, physically, and spiritually fat. And it's the solution to this is writing real goals that I religiously still preach and has been the core and fundamental of my success my entire life up until this moment through all 30 jobs, all of the 30 jobs that I mastered from around the world, and getting to where I'm at now, which I'm not going to go down the long list right now, but has been writing real goals that ask you to become a completely new version of yourself, completely new version where the old version of yourself doesn't even exist anymore. That person or that soul is gone because you've become a completely new version of yourself. When I ask some people, how long have you been a mechanic, or people tell me, I've been a mechanic for 5 years or 10 years, or I've been doing this for 5 or 10 years. But when I ask them, what have you actually accomplished? What have you actually grown? What have you actually grown or accomplished or achieved? They just look at me like, well, I just have 5 years. And what they're really telling me is that they're on year number 1 for the 5th time. Don't be on year number 1 for the 5th or 20th or 10th or 30th time. Write real goals, and when you write real goals that ask you to become a completely new version of yourself, then you're always growing, you're always having to embrace the pain, you're always having to embrace the sacrifices, and always going towards that next step, which is not going to be easy. It's not going to be, handed to you, but it's going to make you stronger, and it's going to allow you to focus on that goal that's asking you to become a completely new version of yourself. And when that becomes your focus, there is no sloppy times. I'm not saying don't, have some fun time, at the end of the day, or have some fun time and still, take care of your health and have that relaxation time. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying your overall focus and your generation, or what your focus is revolving around, needs to become that. And the second quote is exactly that. Desires turn kings into slaves, and patience turns slaves into kings. Now, I don't really like the word king, right? It's a very dangerous, egotistic word, but a lot of you guys understand the point that the quote's, wanting to make. Like I said, I want to give credit where credit's due before I start, altering and changing it into my own words that more of you guys can understand. Now, what this quote is saying, right? When you are impatient, you don't understand. You're just hoping and wishing. There is no faith or belief, right? Everything in this universe stimulates from 2 emotions: fear and love. Love comes through understanding. Like Albert Einstein, our friend, says, any fool or stupid person or dumb person can know. A wise man or a smart person actually understands, a wise person actually understands. There's a big difference between someone that's just repeating all the time and repeating, aka 99% of humanity or the world, which is just hoping or wishing or just praying. And then there's the 1% that actually understand the why of the whys and why this is doing this, why that is happening, why they are doing that because of that, and why. They actually understand, like Albert Einstein's saying, that those are the wise people. And when you actually understand, because patience is really just a deep understanding. Patience is really just a deep understanding, right? And when you have understanding, you have patience, which opens the doors to abundance and prosperity. Because when people are not patient, they become desperate. And when you become desperate, you run into all kinds of problems, and this hyperactive society all around the world, the entire world, it's ridiculous how impatient and desperate, how many people every single day and every single hour, I would say at least over half, it's safe to say at least half of the world is just in this desperate mindset where I need it to happen now. And when you start to think like that, negotiations and bargaining and leverage, you're basically a slave. That desperation just turns you into a slave. And it's why it says desires, or these desperations, or these wants. You just lose all your leverage. You're supposed to be a king, but you just give up all of that leverage and all of that, right? All of the negotiating, and just that impatience turns you into a slave. And as a cryptocurrency trader and having a lot of success this month, the ability to analyze a 3-month graph, a 6-month graph, and a 5-year graph, or in a 1-year graph. And what this allows you to do is take a step back, right? Metaphorically speaking, just take a step back and really analyze the bigger picture. The bigger picture. Oh my God, that word can change your life. Instead of just repeating what you heard on the television, what you heard from some random person, instead of repeating, actually do the analyzing and the observing and discover the truth through understanding, and take a step back and analyze all of your options. And when you take a step back, what this allows you to do is to really analyze and see the bigger picture and use that patience to where you now have leverage, you now have negotiating power. And it's amazing how this instant manifestation BS, this these get rich quick programs, these instant manifestations, and you actually stop and ask the person, what have you actually accomplished? Going back to my earlier point, they'll sit and tell you all of the cells they've sold in their get rich quick gimmick, and that's it. It's really sad. And don't get me wrong, instant manifestation is possible, but it requires it's very advanced, and the amount of time you spend practicing it and understanding it is, by the time you get to your goal or your instant manifestation, you could have been using that time to just accomplish whatever goal it is that you wanted to achieve. And even then, in many senses, it's still not going to be completely instant. And how they twist the whole instant manifestation thing is very dangerous. It's very dangerous. Ay, ay, ay. Now, when you take a step back, though, you become aware of so many resources that are around you. So many different options and choices that you have around you. When you take a step back and see the bigger picture, you really meditate on the bigger picture, you become aware of so many more resources and options to where you almost can start instantly manifesting just from a third person point of view or perspective. But first you got to swallow the ego and all of these labels and dogma masks that are not even who you really are in order to achieve that third person perspective. But now we are going into new territory. These are 2 quotes that can really change your life. And this is a gift, a very, very special gift